Sasa, you might have get a card. Come here with a card. Break it out.
Happy Sabbath, everyone. Please listen to the announcements. Bible class and AY will be today at 3:30 and 4:30 p.m. respectively. Members, you are reminded that Sunday night and Wednesday night meetings are held here weekly and at 7 p.m. and you are all invited to come out and share with us. Sister Daphne Hall would like to meet with all the members of the women's ministry today at 2 p.m. That's all members of the women's ministry ministry team. You are meeting today with Sister Daphne Hall at 2 p.m. Youth Fellowship continues, and this will be tomorrow at 5 p.m. All are invited to come out, youth and youth at heart. Leaders and Elders Training Seminar will be tomorrow, and this will be at the conference auditorium at 9 a.m. The Home Hill Church will be having their Harvest Thanksgiving service on Sabbath, July 30, and this is under the theme, Basking in the Blessings of God's Bountiful Harvest. All are invited to share in this program. Our Pathfinder Camporee is around the corner. This will be August 8 to 15. All uniformed persons in the Pathfinder program and the Master Guide program are asked to be in attendance, or especially those who can come. The cost is $6,000, and the food and accommodation is included. The team that is working at the conference at this time, they are asking for volunteers to come and assist in the cleaning up of the campsite. So those who can, in the Pathfinder program, can go ahead and assist them. Prison ministry is tomorrow, and this will be at 10 a.m. Brother Hansel Gray's wife has died. Hansel Gray, his wife has died, and we are asking for your prayers for the family. The funeral service for Yanni Gale, that's Sister Gale's son, will be here on Sunday, July 31, and this is at 1 p.m. Transportation is $1,000. And interested persons, please see Sister Gale. The women's ministry will be having a tea affair here, and this is on August 7th at 5 p.m. All members are asked to give their support, and this is in aid of the outreach ministry. So the women's ministry will be having their tea affair on August 7th. Lost and found. First of all, lost. A brown pouch was lost with a hymnal in there. Doesn't have a name on it, but if found, there's a brown pouch with an hymnal in it. There's no name on it, but if found, please hand this over to Sister. It belongs to Sister James. Right, it belongs to Sister James. And you are to give it to Sister Brother Smith. So it's a brown pouch with an hymnal, has no name on it. Lost and found, a white headphone was left in Unit 4 last Sabbath. Brother Young has found it and is asked that if you can identify it, you can go for it. We are asking you all members, please pray for the sick and the shut-in. And if you can, go ahead and visit. Now, Zach is at church with us today. Zachary, please stand. I just want to thank you all for your prayers and that you will continue to hold him up before God. Before I leave you, these are the notes. Next word today, before I leave you with this thought. Life, it is never without a need, never without a problem, never without a hurtful moment, but never forget that we have a loving God who is protecting, guiding, and helping us to attain a meaningful life. Do have a blessed time.
I'm coming down.
Please remain standing. Turn your Bibles to the book of Titus, chapter 2, reading together from verse 11 to verse 14. That's Titus, chapter 2, from verses 11 to verse 14. For the grace of God that bringeth salvation hath appeared to all men, teaching us that, denying ungodliness and worldly lust, we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in this present world, looking for that blessed hope and the glorious appearing of the great God and our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who gave himself for us, that he might redeem us from all iniquity and purify unto himself a glorious peculiar people, zealous of good works. This is the word of the Lord. You know, the church is now called to worship. Praise is rightfully yours. God is Zion.
No, at least I'm...
Hope to you must be fulfilled.
Yeah.
For you answer prayer.
No, additional stress that, right?
Projector? Take picture of book video same time.
Looks so fun.
Mine?
Father in heaven, we thank you for this opportunity to worship you today. We thank you for your love. We thank you for your mercies and your grace.
You may look more focused.
Oh God, when we worship today, may our worship will not be in vain. In Jesus' name.
Before we continue, when I'm black man is far outside for this thing, that the driver of the move, you can let it inside there. When I'm black man. Thank you.
The opening hymn this morning comes to us. My Maker and my King, number 15.
Alright, switch doors so we can switch together.
Thank you.
Brooks.
I'm going to call the
Brooks.
names of those who stand. Please stand for me, please. Okay. I'm asking all the brethren, the members of the Norwood Adventists to sit down. The Adventist members. Okay. I'm here this morning to welcome our visitors. Our visitor, please continue standing. Yes, you are welcome here today. We are happy to have you. And it is worth for you this morning.
Done. Take a picture. Done already.
We are feeling so important with you here. Knowing
done
that
already.
you have taken
Well,
time
come
from
on,
everything that you
If you want
have
to.
and take time out to come and worship with us. I'm
See,
asking all our
You
brethren
can
to
see
stand
that
and
to
welcome them.
Don't worry about this, sir. At this time, line.
Let us sing together,
Okay,
smile.
Alright, zoom out, zoom out. Alright. Can I frame up them a little bit better? Zoom out a bit. Alright. Look, stay away with this shot. Look, stay away with this shot. Look, stay wide. Go wide. Yes. Don't too camera around, but stay wide. go down to the
Returning our tithes and giving our offering is a genuine rewarding part of worship. In addition to providing means of consideration and knowledge of the Lord's word, we symbolize our faithful stewardship of all that is, as well as the giving of ourselves to the Lord, using spiritual command and invitation was offering for them an authenticity and spiritual truth to that part of worship.
Can't manage the camera there,
Most Holy Father, I want to thank you, Lord, for this great opportunity that you have given us. We can get into your courts. Lord, I want to thank you for blessing us with our tithes and our offering, blessing us with joy. Lord, we pray that you will bless as we keep. Lord, we can't be your people, but there is that tree of the Lord, in the of blessing. Bless us now, we pray. In Jesus' precious name. Amen. Because Jesus is.
Let's go away. Give me the musician. Give me
Yours, O Lord, is the greatness,
let's go away.
and the power, and the glory,
Stay.
and the majesty, and the splendor, for everything in heaven and earth is yours. I will sacrifice a freewill offering to you. I will praise your name, O Lord, for it is good.
Congregation shut. Congregation.
Talking out loud. As in turning back, them start grumbling. I think they were good Adventists. Right? I think they were Adventists. Chat behind you. And stab you in the back. And that kind of stuff, right? And so it's a long time this thing I go on, you know. It's a long time this thing I go on. I am preparing a family life series. And I want to suggest that dysfunctional families didn't start in the 20th century. It started from a long time when Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and killed him. Long time that started. So when man talk behind you and stab you in the back, it's long time that they go on. They are his disciples, you know. He called them, this is his inner circle. But them behind him are grumble. Right? The things Jesus was saying were revolutionary and disruptive to the status quo. Those declarations were offensive to the Jewish base. And since many of them were following Jesus for fish and bread, and I hope you grasp that, because that is my main point now. Most of them were following Jesus for fish and bread. So when he begins to affect their basic beliefs, they had no problem walking away from him. Now watch the build up. The text we are dealing with is St. John chapter 6. What text did I say? St. John chapter 6. The moment of truth. In verse 2, multitudes are following Jesus because they discovered that they could get free food. That's what the text says. they discovered that this is a guy who can give them free food because him no need bread truck and him no need bakery. Him can make bread out of rock stone. And him can give his disciples money, say, instructions, say, go catch a fish on a beach there. And when you catch him, open him out, looking there, you see money. So they realized that this guy could give them free food, so they flock after him. That's verse 2. Verse 5. He was working his magic, and the place was caught. Jesus turned to Philip and asked, where will we get food to feed all these people? John tells us that Jesus was only teasing the fellow because he had already decided what he intended to do. Verse 6. So when Jesus said the whole multitude of people, he might run joke with Philip and say, boss, tell me something, deacon. Where we have to get bread and food to feed all these people? And my man marveling, you don't know. Where we get food to feed all these people? In verses 8 and 9, Andrew reveals that in the crowd of over 500 men, in verse 8 and 9, we don't know how many people there were. But when Jesus feed them, we get the count. They said there were 5,000 men, and women and children were not counted, right? So even a conservative estimate, it would have been at least 8,000 people. Let's say that I have never seen a crowd in which there are more men than there are women and children put together. But let's say that this is the first one. So you have 5,000 men, and let's say you have another 3,000 women and children. That's 8,000. Now I want you to understand why the people follow Jesus, you know. I want you to understand why they follow him. So Andrew announced that in the crowd, there were 5,000 men, not counting women and children. There is a little boy with his lunch kit. And in that lunch kit is the solution to the food problem. That's Andrew's. I tell you, Jesus walking around and working in magic, right? Usain Bolt this week said that he had to pull out of the Jamaican trials. But he went to his doctor, and his doctor working magic as usual. So ready again. So Jesus is walking around working his magic. So Andrew announced, Lord, a lot of people out there know about 8,000. But we don't have a food problem, man, because there's a little boy out there with a lunch kit. And me looking there and discovered that him have the solution to the food problem. What is in the kit? And how much? How much of what does the little fellow have in his lunch kit? The answer borders on the ridiculous. 5 dumplings and 2 sardines. No, you're right to laugh. That has to be laughable. Because if Andrew is saying to the Lord, the solution to the food problem for 7,000 people is 5 dumplings and 2 sardines, that is bordering on the ridiculous. But in verses 10 through 13, Jesus goes to work. Can somebody say amen? And when Jesus is on the job, things get done. Usually, when people read this story, they are so excited about the actual food that 2 pieces of critical information escape their observation. I'm going to say that again. When you read the story, you are so excited about the miracle that there are 2 critical pieces of information that more often than not escape your attention. So I bring them to your attention. 1, in verse 10, Jesus says, let the people sit down. What did Jesus say, church? Let the people sit down. People are always allowed to become unruly and boisterous around food. And that is why when the Grecian widows complained that their people were not being properly served, and the early church leaders decided that they're going to have some men ordained to be deacons to serve food. Right? To serve food. So they have to be of good reputation and good temperament. They have to be spiritual to share food. To share food. Because anytime you have food, And I tell you in here all the while, I have been up to King's House at official functions, right? At civic functions at the highest level in this country. I have been up there. And when the dignitaries over the meat now we go for food, then behave the same way. You name anybody who is anybody in this country. Anybody you can name who is anybody. I have been to functions with them. And when food time comes, then behave the same way as people behave up at conference. Over food. Jesus decided he was going to have none of it. So he said, let the people sit. Jostling and pushing and contention and discontent and hooliganism is always displayed. When Jesus said, let the people sit, he is saying, not around here. Let the people sit. We are going to have some order around this food. We're going to have some order and some organization around this food. Nobody is going to get seconds and nobody is going to fill any bag to go home before everybody else is fed. And I am saying, when we read this story, Brother Scott, we must see that. That when there is food, there must be order. And some of us are too gravelicious as church people. We eat one time and we eat two times and we eat three times, and some little people are reach up ahead of the line here and we're still jostling and pushing and quarreling. I can't forget the day I got married. Can't forget the day I get married. Just started working a couple months before. And my wife is a poor school teacher. And I had 14 churches at the time. I was the pastor for 14 congregations. From Porter's Mountain, right, to White House in Westmoreland. 14 of them. Everything that is now the White House circuit, the Waterworks circuit, and the Petersfield circuit, excepting Bath, were my churches when I pastored down there. So I could not invite everybody. I was down there for about 5 years at the time when I got married. So I couldn't invite everybody. So I sent a notice to the church. And the notice, as I can recall, simply read, Pastor Charles Tidine Devitt will exchange marital vows with Joan Rose Reed on the 19th of April, and they ask for your prayers. That was a notice. Because it would be inappropriate for me to go get married at my church, you know, right? So I sent a notice. And then I sent invitation to specially selected people that we can afford to feed. So I am in the Montego Bay Church where we got married, sitting down. And Pastor S was the second best man there. And they announced that the bride is here. And the march starts. And the arrangement is, when the march starts and the bridesmaids are coming up, I would come out of the vestry and come sit on the front bench. When I came out of the vestry and look in the congregation, I almost had a heart attack. Then come in, boss. Them come, man, like a convention. The whole place cock out the door. Not even standing room out in Montego Bay churchyard. Then take trip, hire bus, and come. So when my wife came in and I went down to meet her, my wife forget to tell me, oh, you look nice today. The first thing my wife grumbled to me is where they come from? Where them come from? Where so much people come from? So I said to my wife, dear, it's too late to worry about that now. It's too late. And when I go, you know, my wife, like, we will get food from to feed them. I said, dear, what answer I can give to that question at a time like this now? I can't allow myself to be worried about that. So we went to Iron Shore after the thing for the reception, and we went out there. We could hardly get into the place. Hardly get into the place. And there were many people who were grumbling and mumbling and muttering, said they don't get nothing to eat. It so happened that Essen should have driven my car to take us to the honeymoon place. The car wouldn't start. So I called my friend. I said, Greg, drop us down at such and such a place now. And Greg said, all right. But Greg now, that rascal friend of mine, who is not really Greg, we're just saying Greg now. It's all right. So when we went in the car, and the car was about to move, it dawned on me, said, me left the little pullman with our stuff. So I call Esther and say, man, look at that car trunk. You say the thing, where you come? So Esther come with the thing now, and me take it from him now, and go in the back and put it. But when me do all of that now, Greg forget saying thief one of the cake off the table and got in the trunk. My friend Elder, my friend, see that me have more people than me have food. And him one thief one of the wedding cake and put it in a car trunk. My friend, the kind that you give church office. My friend for 20 years, my friend, thief one of the wedding cake, and the man say already that we don't have enough. Him one carry one. Jesus said, let them sit down. None of that nonsense going on here today. We're going to have some order around this place, around the food. That's the first thing we must notice from the passage. The second thing we must notice from the passage is in verse 12. Jesus said, and I translated it and I translated it literally, gather up or collect the fragments or the leftover. We are not wasting anything here today. Did you hear anything that I just said, my friends? Jesus said we're not wasting anything here today. And this goes to the heart of poor people's problem. They are so eager to show that they have what they don't and are what they are not. They don't eat leftover. Jesus said, pick up the fragments, pick up the leftover, gather up, collect it. And I don't believe it means that they should collect it to go throw it away. Many of them need a lesson in willful waste, bring woeful want. Poor people need that lesson. Some of them need a Bible lesson that says pride goeth before a fall and a haughty spirit before destruction. When the people collected what was on the verge of waste, it amounted to 12 bankra. Now, half of the congregation don't know her name, so you're going to say, Pastor, that's speaking tongues this morning. 12 bankra. If Jesus never told them to gather it up, it would have gone to waste. And many of you are in poverty and want because you are idiotic with your food. Wasting. You think when me was a boy, most of us never liked peas until we reached teenagers. So we would sit down and pick out the peas or the rice and throw it away. My father would almost be charged for murder if we did it and let him see. Right? And anything that is left over, we never had fridge, but tomorrow that. My granny always say, better put it on for your bambai. Right? Many of us behave as if we are millionaires. We don't eat this and we don't eat that and we don't eat that and that kind of stuff. You come to church and you cook food and you give them, they don't eat this and they don't eat that. But when they go home, then they're dead for hunger to eat. Jesus would give a lesson in this matter, that we must not waste food. We must not waste food. In verse 14, you form the impression that the people left church with a bounce in their step. Jesus just feed them, right? And we agree, says maybe about 8,000 of them. All of them belly full. That's why you have 12 bankra left over. Because all the ones who would normally clean up, all them full too. So they leave church that day with a bounce in their step. The popular saying was, this man is the great prophet of whom the scripture spoke. He's the food, the minister of food. You know, as long as him the boat we are hungry. That declaration was a great testimony. But hold on, not so fast. If you read that verse in isolation, you would get the impression that they believe in Jesus, that they love Jesus, that they are surrendered to Jesus. But not so fast. What was the basis of that confession? That he is a great prophet of whom the scriptures speak. Why did they say that? John tells us nothing about Jesus preaching a sermon. Up to this point in John 6. No sermon not preached yet. It's only food them clean up. So how did they come to the conclusion that Jesus was a great prophet? The fish and bread, man. The fish and bread. The free lunch. They saw him as a food factory. This takes us to verse 15. The people started a political movement to make Jesus king by force. You must have heard about the attempted coup d'etat in Turkey. That's a forced or violent removal of a leader. They remove a leader by force in a coup. Not very often you hear of a leader being hauled, kicking and screaming to his coronation or installation. You search history and see how many leaders they grab and put him up to be leader by force, and him don't want to be the leader, he's kicking and screaming. Well, that would have happened to Jesus if he had not worked his magic and the pit disappeared from amongst them.